Blog Talk Radio.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's a new experience. Spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one now. Spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Spirituality. Oh, now we get real. Good now. Get real good. That's what I'm talking about. Time to get real.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. I am your global happiness specialist. Thank you and welcome to the show. Welcome to Reality Spirituality Radio, where we on the show, we meaning me, meaning I, what I like to do is share with you, with as many people as are interested and are listening, how to experience more happiness on this journey, how to experience more happiness on this road we call life, how to experience more happiness regardless of what happens to you and regardless of what doesn't happen. Now, when I ask people, hey, you want to be happy, everybody raises their hand. But what I didn't realize when I started this journey, the quest with the question of why can't I be happy all the time? Why can't I feel good all the time? You know, those are my questions. I could feel good, I could be happy sometimes, but what about the times when I didn't? Is there a way to live happily ever after in every moment? And when you ask that question, when you ask the universe questions, you always get the answer. And so my answer was, let's find out. And like everyone, I was programmed to believe that happiness came from accomplishment. Happiness came from achieving my goals. Happiness came from what I acquired, my relationship, my children, my bank account balance, where I traveled, what I did. All of this happiness, all of this came from someplace outside of me. And I was looking for it and searching for it for a long time. Oh, I got glimpses of it. I got glimpses of happiness. I got glimpses of feeling good, but it never lasted. Why can't those moments, those feel-good moments, last? What's up with this roller coaster ride, this up and down, especially now? What's up with that? Is it possible to find peace? Is it possible to be happy regardless of my circumstances? I didn't think so. Of course, I had evidence that would have proven. I have evidence that would prove that circumstances dictated my happiness. But before I go on, let me share with you my definition of happiness. Happiness means, my definition, happiness means the ability to be at peace regardless of what happens and regardless of what doesn't happen. I know if you've listened to the show, you're tired of hearing it, but it's the truth. And today we are talking about fact versus fiction. We're coming to the end of the road, people. We're coming to the end of the road of 2020. And listen, I know what's going on out there. I don't have my head just stuck in a cave. I'm not living in a cave. I know what's going on out there. And the thing is, there's a lot of hate going around for this year 2020. There's a lot of hate and discomfort going around for the year 2020. And the year 2020 may be marked as the most challenging year in history. Could be. The interesting thing about this 2020 and the hate on 2020, it has nothing, let's see, how do I say this? It has nothing to do with the year. 2020 is like any other year, like 2019, 2016, 2021. It's like any other year. The principles, the truth is the same. And the truth is it doesn't matter what happens to you. What happens to you doesn't matter. The circumstances don't matter. You have the ability, you have the power, you can practice being at ease regardless of what happens out there. So when I talk about the end of this year, the end of 2020, I'm not wishing 2020 gone. I'm not wanting anything to change about 2020. That's the crazy part. When you really commit to, and it is a commitment, when you commit to and you prioritize wanting to be happier more than anything else, and I know that's a problem. How can you put happiness over everything else? How can you put happiness over life? How can you put happiness over health? How can you be, what? And that is the first lesson. We are all as different as our fingerprints. And what works for me, how I find peace, how I'm able to be happy, how I'm able to be peaceful, rooted in peace, is going to be totally different than you. Now, the principles, the exercises, the practice is the same because truth is truth. Listen, let me ask you this question. Can you be angry? No, let's see. Can you be angry, mad, pissed off, irritated, and grateful at the same time? Can you really embrace that feeling? You know that feeling of gratitude when you look out and you can almost cry because of all of the things that you are grateful for. All of the things that we don't talk about. I mean, listen, let's talk about being grateful for the sun shining every day. Even though in Oregon sometimes you don't see it. Get it? It is overcast here right now. But oh, geez, Louise, I lost my train of thought. Hold on. There's happiness. What? Totally lost my train of thought. Oh, let's go back to prioritizing happiness. Yes, prioritizing it. Now, when I say prioritizing happiness, I'm talking about that's my number one. How to be at peace. How to be at peace regardless of what happens. And it is a practice. And when I say it's a practice, there are behaviors that you actually practice. I don't know why I used actually. There are behaviors that you practice. Being a Toastmaster, I have to really be careful, really be mindful of all my filler words. And by the way, filler words are actually, basically, that being said. All of those are filler words. And when I was in Toastmasters, listen, we had a contest every week with the ums and the ahs and the you knows and you know what I'm saying and all of that. I know I'm digressing into another topic, but that's another one of my challenges is being aware and noticing how other people speak. Woo! And let me say this: it's not easy. It's not easy to be at peace and looking at and finding something that is an irritant. And let me also remind all of my listeners that if you have a button that can be pushed, if you own a button, if something irritates you or something bothers you, and it's 100% of the time, somebody eating. I'm just trying to throw out an example. Eating and holding their fork incorrectly is an irritant. Or how about littering is an irritant. When whatever button you have, because we all have buttons that can be pushed, whatever button you have, and you're responsible for your own buttons, whatever button you have, it's your responsibility to remove it. It's not anybody else's responsibility to remove, adjust, not bow down. That's not a good that I didn't want to say that. Bow down. But it's for anybody else to be responsible for what bothers you is one of the biggest. It's one of the biggest conflicts in a relationship, right? Oh, that bothers me, so don't do that. This bothers me, so don't do that either. This whole thing about other people having the power to bother or irritate or to annoy or to anger is just not true. And this show is about fact versus fiction. And the practice here is when you are hit with the truth, I don't care what you believe, it doesn't matter. The truth prevails over all. The truth is the gravity. If you jump off a 10-story building, gravity is going to drop you down to the ground. If you bounce a ball, gravity is going to take it down. So when I say the truth, I'm talking about universal truth. I'm not talking about whether or not I have a perspective and you have another perspective and my perspective is truth. I'm talking about the real, factual. I'll give you an example. Let me give you another example. When I share with you, one of the things that subtracts from happiness, and I jump all over the place. One of the things that subtracts from happiness is having expectations. I mean, I hear a lot of things about expectations, and some people even say happiness is meeting your expectations. Well, that's just not true. The happiness that I'm talking about is a foundational vibration. It is a foundational place, state of mind, where to live. It is your set point. You know how you turn the temperature gauge in the house to, I don't know, 70 degrees, 68 degrees, 65 degrees. Some of you like it hot. 78 degrees. When I say a temperature gauge, when I'm talking about rooted in, I'm talking about what is your set point. And if your set point is, yeah, sometimes I can get irritated. Yes, but for the most part, I'm happy. For the most part, I'm peaceful. I'm letting you know that you can experience even more than your set point. Your set point keeps getting moved. No, that's not really what I want to say. What I want to say is your set point as you grow. That's what I want to say. As you grow, as you expand, as your awareness expands, as your consciousness expands, guess what happens? The things that used to bother you, the buttons that you used to have, are just no longer there. You've grown out of your own buttons. You've grown out of what used to annoy you. Isn't that? It's fascinating because I just, speaking for myself, I used to be bothered by everything. Oh, my goodness. I could find something wrong in any moment of the day. And I'm not joking when I say that. I'm talking about an opinionated, moody, judgmental, I'm right, you're wrong, that kind of person, a bitch on wheels. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Never was comfortable with peace. Never was comfortable with silence. Never was comfortable with just being. I had to be doing. I had to be doing something. And so the evolution, the growth, the expansion, when you commit to wanting this internal, this peaceful state of mind, when you commit to it, the things that don't serve you anymore just simply drop off. They just simply disappear. They just simply fade into the sunset. And you really don't have to do a lot of work. Now, when I say don't do a lot of work, I'm talking about not doing a lot of work to have, okay, let me say this. So it doesn't require work for the rose to bloom. the rose is going to bloom. And so when I say when you're doing the work, when you're practicing, when you are able to look in the mirror for solutions, or when you are able to be honest with yourself and say and mean that, you know what can I do? How can I change? How can I grow? What is it that I can do? When you practice that and you are constantly in that practice, when you are constantly in the practice of it's me, it's not them, it's not who won the election or who didn't win the election, it's not the pandemic, and I know this is a hard one, it's not the lockdown. Listen, I know, let me say this. I've gone back and forth with this because if people have the tools, when people have the tools, when people practice what I share on this show, it doesn't matter if you're locked down or not. But I know that the majority of the population doesn't practice. And when I say practice, what am I talking about? I'm talking about practicing eliminating the behaviors that subtract from happiness and cultivating the behaviors that add to happiness. So, happiness, when I say happiness is a practice skill, it is a practice skill, and like any other skill, the more you practice, the more you commit to the practice, and it is a daily commitment, the better the results. So when you want to feel better, when you want to feel more at peace, when you want to be happier, guess what? It has nothing to do with anyone else. No one else is allowed is not allowed. No one else is in your equation. And no one else is in your equation because what if, for some reason, they're not in your equation anymore? What if, God forbid, something happens to someone that you're saying, that they make me happy, or this relationship makes me happy, or this person makes me happy? What I'm trying to say is take full responsibility for your happiness. Now, of course, there are a lot of people that add to the richness of life, add to the richness of your moments, of course. But depending on a person or putting that burden on another person that they're responsible for your happiness, how can you say that you love somebody when you're obligating them? Or then the response would be, well, I welcome the obligation. Okay. You see why I say everybody's different? Let me get to today's topic. Happiness is a practice skill, and the first part of the practice is gradually eliminating the behaviors that have been proven to subtract from happiness. And the second part of the practice is cultivating behaviors that have been established to add to happiness. Now, some of the things, listen, if you had practiced before this lockdown, before the pandemic, if you had practiced being okay with uncertainty, if you had practiced just being as opposed to doing, if you had practiced believing that everything that is happening or everything that happens is there to serve you in some way, if you would practice that having expectations subtracts from happiness, then guess what? Oh, this isn't good. I'm looking at something totally different. I'm getting distracted. Okay, I fixed it. That's in the moment. That's called reality spirituality. My point is the practice. And so all of the practice is important. And it's depending on the person, depending on the individual. So the number to call in to talk to me, the guest call-in number is area code 646-564-9619. Again, area code 646-564-9619. And I'll get to the calls in just a minute. I want to go back over this fact versus fiction, because the title of today's show, or the topic of today's show, is about being offended or getting offended. getting offended at being offended. So I have a question for you. I have a question. The question is, when did you start? Do you remember when you began? When did you start when did you start getting offended? When did all that start for you? Were you 6 months old, a year old, 2 years old, 4 years old? When did the notion that you could get offended, when did that start? Well, let me share something with you. Being offended, getting offended is a learned behavior. It's something that you learned. It is something that you were programmed to believe, that you can get offended. And along with you can get offended, it means you can get your feelings hurt, somebody hurt your feelings, someone said something. And all of this, when I say it's a programming and it's a learned behavior. The good news is whatever you learned, you can unlearn. And I am a walking example of that. There is absolutely no words that you can call me, that you can say to me or call me that is going to affect me either way, up or down. Because listen, I used to get offended over everything. Come on. Are you talking to a graduate of getting offended? A graduate of being offended, a graduate of it's you, it's not me. I'm blaming you for how I feel. And getting offended? Oh, please. I was the queen. I probably held the Guinness World Book of Records. And that's why I know that it is a practice, it is a programming. Because practicing letting all of that go, practicing letting go that words have power, practicing committing to wanting to be at peace, to be happy, regardless of what happens, that is a practice. And when you are consistent with it, and when you are rooted in who you are and when I say rooted, I mean both feet in. You're growing roots into knowing who you are, feeling who you are, and you are a physical extension of the universe. And let me say this, the universe, now some people say God, some people say spirit, higher power, energy source. It doesn't matter the term for me. It's the same. It's the same. It doesn't matter the term. But I wanted the opinion of myself that the universe had of me. The universe wasn't criticizing me, wasn't judging me, wasn't thinking I didn't do enough. Rebecca, wow, what a lost day, Rebecca. Now the universe doesn't really have any kind of this is what you have to do. I mean, look at the world. The sun shines on the serial killer and the Pope. So the universe is very free with letting us be ourselves, whatever that looks like. And so the universe isn't offended by, this is just what I believe. I mean, because everything happens. Everything under the sun is happening. So this fact versus fiction, when I say you can get offended, getting offended subtracts from your happiness. Being offended subtracts from your peace. So if that's subtracting, then I'm going to do whatever it takes to not be offended. And when you really think about it, so what are you offended by? Number one, some people say words. Some people say words are offensive. And that was the topic of, I think last week or the week before, how words do not have power. And I know I get a lot of mail. Yes, words have power. Words are powerful. And I'm here to tell you, no, they're not, because you were programmed to believe that. You were brainwashed to believe that. And the truth is, if you curse at or insult or use language to a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, maybe not a 3-year-old because maybe they're learning different words, but you can't offend someone that hasn't been programmed yet. The only people you can offend, the only people you can affect are people that have been programmed. So when I say programmed for unhappiness, it is a very real situation. It is a very real place. It is very real. People are offended. People do get their feelings hurt based on what someone else is doing. It is a learned behavior. Because you put the little baby, the 2-year-old baby, year-and-a-half-year-old baby in a playpen, and I don't care what you do on the outside. That baby isn't going to get offended. The baby isn't going to have their feelings hurt. So the point is, it is a learned behavior, and whatever you learn, you can unlearn. I don't know about you, but it doesn't feel good just looking at someone else and finding and making a judgment. All judgments subtract from your happiness. All judgments about self and judgments about others. So can you, what's true and what's not true? What's fact and what's fiction? Now, I know a lot of people walking around getting offended. I was just told that I offended someone 3 days ago. Oh, you're offending me. You know what I was doing when they told me that I was being offensive? I was laughing. And I guess I shouldn't have been laughing. I guess what I found funny wasn't supposed to be funny, because this other person didn't think it was funny. So because they don't think it's funny, now they're offended, and now I'm scolded because I'm laughing. and I laughed even harder. And I even laughed so much listen, sometimes I laugh so hard I have to run to the bathroom, if you know what I'm saying. And, yeah, there was a little leakage. I was laughing so hard. So when you're offended by me laughing? Now, mind you, I was at a funeral. No, I was just kidding. That's a bad joke. But come on. So looking at someone else and blaming and pointing the finger at someone else or anyone else that it's their fault, that they're the ones offending you, it doesn't matter who it is. You are the one with the button. You are the one with the challenge. You are the one with the problem, not them. And before I go to the calls, in different countries and different society, different cultures, I'm thinking of a real primitive culture somewhere in either South America or Africa. Those people, when I say those people, there's a lot of different bathroom habits when you're living in the jungle or in the middle of nowhere, and you have to hunt for your food, and you have to fish for your food, and you have to gather your own water. I'm telling you that this universal being offended doesn't apply. When you can find evidence of people not being offended by the same things you're offended by, that has to tell you that being offended is suspect. So I'm here to blow everything up before the end of this year and let you know that you're offended, it's your problem, not anyone else's. And you were programmed to be offended. Let me go to the calls. I have a few people that in the queue. Hold on just a second. Area code 615. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. What's your first name? Welcome to the show.
Hi, Rebecca. This is Greg calling from Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, hi, Greg. Nashville, Tennessee. One of the places I can't wait to go one of these days. I love Nashville. I love country music. That's the thing. And I never liked country music a few years ago, but I don't know why I'm going on and on, but I've never talked to someone from Nashville. Welcome, Nashville.
Thank you. I've seen your show. I just logged into Blog Talk recently, maybe a week ago for the first time in probably 5 or 6 years. And I keep seeing your show, and I'm like, I need to listen. And this is a really good topic. I just wanted to share a really quick, simple story that I think blends in with exactly what you're saying. On my street,
Please.
We have about, let's say, 50 houses. And at the end of the street, there's a little section of townhomes, all part of the same community, and they have a dumpster down there. And a couple of times I've seen whether the truck dumped it accidentally or somebody just dumped it. Just garbage everywhere. I mean, it just looks really bad. And I get a little irritated, but we're not talking like bad irritated, just, a little miffed. Like, they really should clean that up. So anyway, the other day, I looked and saw the same thing again by the dumpster, and then on the main road, there's a pretty busy main road at the end of our street, and there was this bag of garbage that it looked like it had probably fallen off of a truck, and then a couple of days later, it broke open, and it kept spreading, and I started getting a little irritated, so I said, you know what? I went and got my 5-gallon bucket that I keep on my porch, and that little thing you use to pull stuff off the shelf if you're like 90. It's got the little squeeze trigger on it with the 2 little prongs on it with the suction cups. And I just went down there and I picked up the trash. And the cool thing of it is this. I think I heard this in a Buddhist teaching a long time ago. The Buddhist teaching said, Greg, why did you pick up the trash? And there's only one answer to that reason. To that is, it just needed to be picked up. That garbage needed to be picked up. And, of course, I'm saying to myself, God, these people are lazy. And I'm not mad at them. I'm just saying it in my mind, my old mind of thinking, God, these people are lazy. Why would they want to look at this trash every day? And I'm over there picking up this trash by this dumpster. I see an empty box of condoms. I see used condoms in the parking lot. I see cans. I see hairspray and a jacket. And I picked all the trash up, stuck it in the dumpster, and out of it I got exercise. I felt better. And one of those plastic milk cartons, they're square, they're real heavy and rugged, and you can haul stuff in them. I got one of those and I stuck it in my trunk to be able to haul stuff with. So in the end, I did it because it made me feel good, and really more than that, it just needed to be done. But I'll close with this. I asked myself a real simple question a long time ago because somebody taught me how to do this. This is the question. Greg, what are the odds that 7 billion people on this earth will ever think and act just like you? And the odds are 0. So I'm like, those people are going to think and act the way that they think and acted. It doesn't mean I'm not going to get pissed about something every now and then. But, I mean, you're really, really drilling down. I mean, you're really opening this thing up. You're doing a great job of it. Obviously, you've been doing this for quite some time. And the main thing is own your stuff. My mom used to refer to someone, typically a woman, because she counseled women and she was active in recovery for many, many years before she died. And she referred to those women who didn't know what you're teaching as a drama mama, just a drama mama. And I get that. I understand that. But anyway, thank you so much for being there and doing this teaching. And I'll just listen and listen to see what the next caller has to say. Thank you.
Well, wait a minute. I don't want to let you go so much because while you were talking, so fast, because while you were talking, I got all chilled up, and I get chilled when I hear the truth or speak the truth, and your message was so important. And when I say that, listen, of course, if something, Bob, I'm living with my son now. He's visiting for a little bit, and back in the day, it was, do this, and if something's bothering me, if the dishes need to be washed, whether they're his dishes or my dishes, but just like you said, just do it. Just do it. And when you said you're different, that's one of the things that I don't know if you heard, but we are all as different as our fingerprints. We all are different. So one of the biggest problems that I used to have was thinking, why aren't these people like me? The nerve. Why aren't these people like me? But yeah, really, I thought the world would be a better place if more people were like me. But the truth is, and you said it, Greg, and looking at other people and calling them, I'm not talking about just you because listen, you're lazy, you're stupid, you don't take any pride. All of that stuff may be true, but guess what? When I'm saying it and I'm noticing it, I'm subtracting from my own peace. If I'm looking at someone else and I'm making a judgment about, because nobody knows my life or what I'm doing unless they're living in my skin. That goes to you, that goes to everyone else, and we don't know why. Maybe, listen, my mother had, speaking about mothers, was a hoarder. When she died, I couldn't even turn the corner around, and things, packages weren't open. But guess what? And there was times when I wanted her to change. I wanted her to be different. I wanted her to let go of her addiction to hoarding. No. The biggest biggest practice, the hardest practice, is the practice of acceptance of others, regardless of what they're doing. And I know I could get an argument about that, but when I'm talking about being in someone else's business, I'm talking about exactly what you just described. You didn't like the mess, and let me tell you something, Greg. I love picking up trash. I don't know what it is, but picking up trash, throwing away trash is one of my things.
Your mom.
It really is.
I think your mom's hoarding. Is your mom's hoarding it more off on you?
Maybe, huh? Maybe. But it's so important what you just said, and your energy with saying it. See, there's a way to tell a story, and there's a way to tell a story with certain kind of energy. And you told that story. Now I'm getting chills again. With such uplifting. When I say uplifting, I mean with just such there's a lightness to the way you told the story. Because I've heard a lot of people telling me stories, and there's a little underneath vibration, dark, but no, you even told the story with lightness. And I appreciate
what my mom
that,
told me?
And I really do. Go ahead.
My mom told me once, this was back in the late 90s, I was working in the radio in the poorest county in the entire state of Mississippi. And I was there for 2 years, and I went there asking for a job, and they gave me one. It was a wonderful experience, but it got really, really rough. And I remember calling my mom in San Diego, and I said, Mom, it is really, really bad. I wasn't complaining. I was just in a bad place. And I was sad. I was truly sad. And I knew I could get through it. I knew I could. It was just putting in my time and finding that next opportunity. And this is what she said. She said, son, when your plate is full, you will walk away from the table. And damn was she right, and I'll never forget it. She died in 2006. This is 2020. I'm 51 years old. Those are one of the things my mom taught me I'll never, ever forget. I've quoted it many times. Great radio. I appreciate you, Rebecca.
I love that. I love that. When your plate is full, you'll walk away.
That's right. That's right. When you've had enough, baby, you will get up. You will push your chair away from the table. And here's the thing. Life is a buffet. It doesn't mean I don't have bad days. It doesn't mean Rebecca doesn't have bad days. Life's a buffet. I don't have to walk up there with my plate in my hand. I'm the one that chooses to walk into that buffet line. Why would I stand there and look at all that food and complain about it while I'm shoveling it on my plate? Walk away. There's plenty of buffets in this world, Greg. That's what my mom would say.
Oh, I love that. I love
anyway,
that.
I'll shut up.
Like a real,
That's great radio.
Yeah. No, I really love that, and I really appreciate your call and what you shared, and call in every time. I really appreciate it. And listen. And when you want the world to change, if you want more peace in the world, then you be more peaceful yourself. When you want it's a cliche, but it does start with the person in the mirror. It starts with the person in the mirror. It never starts out there. It always starts with the person in the mirror. And I really do appreciate it. And I'm sending you a virtual hug. I really did. Thank you so much for your contribution and please call in anytime. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Tennessee,
Have a
Nashville.
good day.
Yeah,
Bye.
You too. Wow, what a great that's what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. When I say it is a perspective, we've talked about changing your perspective, and if anything is you're not happy about something that's going on, or you're not. Or you're bothered, or you're irritated, or something isn't going quote unquote your way. Let me be real honest. Isn't going your ego's way. Then guess what? Nothing has to change out there. Their situation doesn't have to change. Just your perspective. You can change your perspective in an instant, but who practices changing their perspective? Who practices looking at the same situation, the same challenge, the same problem with different eyes? Who practices that? And when I say happiness is a practice skill, this isn't easy to practice because you're always in the mirror. No, not looking for wrinkles, looking for what can I do? What can I do? How can I change? How can I grow? How can I be different? See, and who wants to do that? Let me tell you something. I'm not running around here saying, oh, universe, I love you. I curse them out all the time. Universe, I hate you. I mean, listen, they're my destiny is set. and what I concluded is, if I'm claiming to be this happiness specialist, then guess what, Rebecca? Be happy with this. Can you be happy with your mother disinheriting you and giving the family house to the handyman? Can you be happy through a lockdown? Can you be happy when health challenges? Can you really? So the practice is real. It is a real practice. I have a few people in the queue, and if you want to comment or have a question, just press the number 1. And let me just go over again, just recapping this thing about being offended. And when I say stay out of everybody else's business, you'll be happier, there's no truer statement. It's like the comparing and the looking at and finding fault with. I'm looking at a tree right now because I'm in the middle of the forest and I'm surrounded by trees. So I'm looking at a tree like that right now, and if I'm looking at this tree and I'm finding fault with the tree, and I can blame the tree for something, and the tree is just there. The tree is just being itself. So these people, all of these people that we have to share this life with when we're out in public, know that these people, I love to say these people, know that these people are doing the best that they can, including me. We're all doing the best that we can. So where's the judgment? Where's the judgment? Also, the other thing that Greg mentioned, I don't know if we touched on it, but when it's time, I like to say we are all avocados. We are all avocados, and some of us are ripe, and some of us just aren't ripe yet. But all avocados get ripe, and when it's time to get ripe, you can't stop it. You can't speed it up. You can't slow it down. An avocado is going to get ripe when it's time. And so all of these people out here doing the best that they can, it may not be their time. And the other thing, thinking that someone else needs to share my when I say my beliefs, I'm not talking about the skills, the behavior that subtracts from happiness, because let me just run through that, because I get new listeners all the time. And sometimes I get the same question, so let me just run through really quickly some of the behaviors that subtract from your happiness. These are proven, scientifically proven to be true. Let me say this. In my laboratory, let me say this. Blaming anyone or any circumstance for the way you feel is going to subtract from your happiness. Comparing yourself with anyone else subtracts from happiness. Noticing what anyone else is doing, like Greg was noticing about the trash and those people weren't picking up the trash. See, I notice it, but if I notice it, then that means I have a job to do. I got something to do. Oh my goodness, Greg, if you're still, Greg's still listening. Greg, I pick up trash all over the place. I pick up trash in the park. I don't know why, but it just makes me feel really good to pick up trash. Anyway, talking negatively about what someone else is doing subtracts from your happiness. Here's a big one. Thinking anything is serious and thinking anything is important subtracts from happiness. Now, when I say important, do I think that this happiness thing and people, because what's wrong with the world? What are the problems in this world? What is it? What are the biggest problems in the world? Is it poverty? Is it hunger? Is it hold on a second. Where are my what are the biggest problem in the world notes? Is it disease? Is it overpopulation? Is it religion? Is it wars? Is it global warming? Is it animal rights? What are the biggest problems in the world? Well, the biggest problems in the world are unhappy people. People that are unhappy. And unhappy people, it goes to the other analogy that I love to use. What does the man with the hump in his back want more than anything else? What does the man with the hump in his back that has to walk, bend it over, what does he want more than anything else? No, he doesn't. Now, I've gotten answers. Well, he wants to walk straight. He wants to find a woman with the hump in his back. I've gotten all those kind of answers. The answer is he wants you to have a hump too. The man with the hump in his back wants you to have a hump too. Misery loves company is so true. So when I say sharing bad news with someone else, why am I sharing bad news? Why am I doing that? Why am I sharing? Oh, did you hear about the mass slaughter of the 500 people in the small community? I'm not going to say that that's not trivial, but I'm not going to share it. There are going to be a lot of people that can't wait to share bad news, but it's just not going to be me. Anyway, the other thing that subtracts from happiness is having expectations, giving power to words, having attachments, living in the past, living in the future. This is a hard one. Having a preference. Ooh, that's a hard one. Having any kind of preference subtracts from your happiness. Trying to control anything or anyone outside of yourself subtracts from your happiness. Of course, complaining. How about this one? Getting embarrassed. Getting embarrassed. Can you be happy and at peace and you're embarrassed at the same time? Well, you know what getting embarrassed means or what that is, what that shows? The only reason why people get embarrassed is because they care about what someone else thinks. Is because they care about what someone else thinks. So when you really get to the point where you can look at yourself in the mirror and be okay with what you see in the mirror, what you see in your life, guess what? There's nothing to be. You won't be embarrassed. Absolutely zero. That embarrassment gene has left me a long time ago. Now, anyway, okay, and also this is a big one too. This is another big one. This is a huge one that subtracts from happiness. Here we go. Taking anything personally. Taking anything personally. I don't care if this person is looking at you, if they're pointing their finger and they're calling your name. It doesn't matter. Taking anything personally. This is an impersonal universe. And when you take things personally, know that whoever is saying whatever they're saying to you is really, they need to hear that for themselves. They're saying, oh, you made me angry. No, I can't make you angry. I can't make you angry. That's you. That's your business. Your anger is your business, not mine. And so it's worrying. Here we go. That's another thing that subtracts from happiness. Now, worrying. How many of you out there worry? Just raise your left hand. The only reason why people worry is lack of trust. And when you trust, it's impossible to worry. When you trust, blindly trust, and you practice trust on a daily basis, not only will you be more peaceful and feel happier, you eliminate worrying. Worrying, that includes worrying about me, that includes worrying about your loved one, because that worrying about a loved one, that don't be fooled. Don't think that makes you think that you care. Don't think that shows you care when you worry about someone. No, it's really the opposite. It's really the opposite, because worrying about someone doesn't do anything for you, and it definitely doesn't do anything for someone else, unless they're buying into the whole worry programmed club, which I worry about you, that means I care. You worry about me, oh, that means you care. Well, I'm out of that club. No, don't tell me you worry about me. That doesn't tell me that you care. I don't need your worried energy. So anyway, back to what subtracts from happiness is worrying. Another thing, and I'm just going to go through these a little bit faster, assigning a label to any experience. Now, one of the things that my friend from Nashville, Tennessee, said about having a good day and bad days, all labels subtract from happiness. When I say good and bad, if you listen and you know, there is no such thing as a good day or a bad day. What it is, it's an experience without a judgment. Life is an experience without judgments, because as soon as you judge, number one, you're programmed to judge. All programming is suspect. All programming is authored by the ego. So when you say what kind of day you're having a day of non-judging. You're having an experience. So good day, bad day, how about just a day with no judgment? But can you look out into the world? I mean, everything's labeled. Everything's labeled. Now, the things that I really appreciate being labeled are the food items, because it's very helpful to know if something has a lot of sugar in it or salt. But other than those labels, I'm not labeling. I'm done with the labels, because labels subtract from your happiness. And then finally, the being critical to yourself or others, the inability to forgive, the lack of personal growth. Now, one of the things that and I keep going back to him because it was such a good call, and I have a few people in the queue, and you want to say, just press the number 1. But anyway, lack of personal growth. And when I say that, it is really about you being aware of self. And how are you, and monitoring, how different are you than you were 6 months ago, 5 months ago, a week ago, 2 weeks ago? Are you monitoring your growth? Are you celebrating your growth? And listen, I'm not going to get a Tony, an Emmy, a Grammy, Academy Award we're not going to get awards for growing. We're not going to get awards for, wow, I'm different than I was 3 months ago. But the universe is giving you an award. I'm giving you an award. I'm giving you credit. Even the smallest growth. I don't care how small it is. I don't care if it's the size of a grain of sand. Growth is growth. I'm almost going to get choked up because growth, and when you need applause and you need something from someone else, then just get ready to get disappointed. You want to eliminate all disappointments and all heartbreaks for the rest of your life? Let go of all expectations. Lack of personal growth, lack of acceptance. How about this one? Impatience. Can you be happy and impatient at the same time? Can you be happy and rushing at the same time? So patience, we're not, when a child is born, we're not jumping on the child and say, hey, hurry up and start spitting out those teeth so you can feed yourself. Start walking, start growing, start feeding yourself, start putting on your own clothes. And no, we have all the patience. We have all the patience for a baby. Let's have some patience for ourselves for a change. Let's have some patience for ourselves and our own growth. Allowing your ego to dictate your behavior, your rigidity. Rigidity means not being able to be open to new ideas, to new concepts, new ways of living, new ways of being. I used to be, oh my goodness, so rigid and so closed-minded. I just remember thinking that, I'm trying to give you an example. I remember when I was younger thinking that I'm sorry, but this is the truth, thinking that anybody that went to prison, anybody that went to jail, I would have nothing to do with anyone that went to prison. Oh, no. They were bad people, bad. And again, programmed, raised in a Norrington household, trust me, not socializing with people that got out of prison or got out of jail was right up my alley until I started riding public transportation when I was working. Until I started riding public transportation from South El Monte to downtown Los Angeles every day for probably almost a decade. And one of the stops was a jail, and people were getting out of jail or prison, and they were getting out, and their next step, they had everything that they had in a bag, and they were getting on the bus, and they were sitting right next to me. And I had the best conversations with people that have done time. I've learned so much. I'm just share this really quick story because it happened with this gentleman who was blind. Did some time in prison. He was blind, and I asked him. I said, "How were you blind at birth?" And he says, "No, I was hit in the head, in the face with a baseball bat." He was hit in the face, or maybe the back of the head. I really don't remember. It was a long time ago, at least 15 years ago. He said he was hit in the back of the head and he lost his sight because of that, because of the lifestyle that he led. And I said, "Oh my goodness." He says, "But you know what? Listen to this, audience. Listen to this." He said that being blind, that going blind, that this incident was the best thing that ever could have happened to him. Can you believe that? He said that was the best thing that ever happened to him. I said, "What are you, crazy? What are you talking about?" And then he explained it. He said that I was running with the wrong crowd. He even told me about this one murder that he was involved with, and he helped put the body in the trunk of a car. I mean, this is real life, and I'm from Oz. I'm up here from Mayberry. I'm but the universe really wanted me to expand and to be open to all growth from all walks of life. Anyway, so he said he was running with the wrong crowd, and he said if I did not get hit by that baseball bat, if I wasn't blind, he said I would be dead now. I would be dead, or I would be in prison for life. This is the attitude that he had. Now, how many of us can look at all of our challenges and find something good right in that moment? Or maybe not in the moment. Maybe we find something good a year later, or 6 months later, or 2 years later. But he changed my life with that story. Number one, I'm talking to somebody that, obviously did some prison time. Number two, an accessory to murder. Number three, I mean, come on. It's a story anyway. The universe crossed paths, had him cross paths with me. That's a lot of S's. The universe had him cross paths with me to share that story, and did share it with you. So your perspective about life will determine how much happiness and how much peace you will feel. And your perspective is under your control. And your perspective is your responsibility. And your perspective, changing perspectives is a practice. You can practice changing perspectives all throughout the day. Because the more you practice, the easier it's going to get. I don't care what situation you find yourself in. It doesn't matter. You can change your perspective in an instant, and your peace level and your happiness, all of it will shift also. Your energy change, your vibrational change is a quick change. Oh, wow, what a great show. For everyone who's just hanging in there and just wants to listen, that's okay. And I want to say again, a big thank you, a big virtual hug to my friend in Nashville, Tennessee. Ooh-wee. Wow. I'm just moving to Oregon in a really small town. All it is country, and I say all it is. The majority is country music, country bars, country dancing, and look, don't tell anybody, but before I moved here, I couldn't stand country music. Oh my God, it was so boring. It all sounded the same. Country music, oh, bad. And let me tell you something. When you're open, now I wouldn't go to a country music concert, but I love country music. I love the stories. I love the realness. I love the truth. I got my radio on a country music. Now, I have a favorite country music station. What the hell? And that's what I'm talking about when I say growth. When you're open and you stay open to all possibilities, the universe is magical. You don't even realize the plans. The plans, when I say magical, you can't even conceive of all the opportunities and all the possibilities that the universe has in store. But and be very mindful of that ego that's going to tell you, oh, it's not enough. Oh, I want more. Oh, I'm dissatisfied. Oh, this isn't enough. That's one of the things. That's my ego. My ego loves to tell me how it's just not enough. It's not enough that a few hundred people listen. I need 1,000 people listen. I need millions of people to listen. No, I'm here to tell you that when you start witnessing your ego and you put your ego on the stage and say, oh, ego, there you are. What bad news do you have for me today? How can you make me feel bad today? But when you know the difference between the universal voice and the universal inspiration and the ego, it's very easy to recognize and give less focus and less power. Woo! Reality Spirituality is heard every Sunday. Thank you so much for joining me every Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. My website will be completed probably before Christmas. Beep, 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 before Christmas. And follow me on Twitter at RL Norrington, LinkedIn, and my Instagram handle is Reality Spirituality. I have a few videos on YouTube. My first book, Reality Spirituality, The Truth About Happiness, can be purchased on Amazon, and my second book, Program for Unhappiness, is going to be out sometime in 2021. And until next week, my dear audience, I want you to remember who you are. You are a physical extension of the universe. You're always growing. You're always changing. Love is patient, and love is kind. Be kind to yourself. Be your own best friend. Remember, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. You've been listening to Reality Spirituality with the Global Happiness Specialist, Rebecca L. Norrington. Have a conscious week. And remember, happiness is a practice skill. The more you practice, the more it's going to reflect how much happiness and how much peace you will experience in your own life. Thank you for listening. Reality Spirituality. Talk to you next week. Have a conscious week.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's a new experience. Reality Spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one, man. Reality Spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Reality Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Reality Spirituality. Oh, now we get real. Reality Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get down. Reality Spirituality. Yeah, you gonna feel good now.